Martin is a very smart engineer, but life hasn't worked out for him compared to others. Despite being a smart man, Martin has failed to see any success in his engineering career. His wife passed away 10 years ago, and he has been living with his lovely daughter, Jessie. Martin has been working on a new project called Blue Cube Radiatron. This cube intends to produce sustainable clean blue energy, and it will produce an endless supply of it, reducing humanity's dependency on fossil fuels. Martin is hoping to hit a home run with this project, as he has dedicated most of his life to it. While he is stuck in traffic, he clearly instructs his partner, Tomcat, to not power up the blue cube, as it is not ready to be powered on yet. Tomcat goes against Martin's orders and gives the cube a try by powering it on. This proves fatal for Tomcat, as a huge explosion takes place, immediately terminating everyone in the lab. The cube not only caused an explosion, but it released a high-energy beam. The situation becomes wild when the high-energy beam strikes an alien spaceship that was near the Earth's stratosphere. The spaceship comes crashing down on Earth, with no one finding out much about it. As everything has been destroyed, Martin is forced to start his project again from scratch. 5 years later, Martin has built a small lab where he and his fellow group mates have been working tirelessly on the cube. Martin is informed that his package has arrived from Africa at the post office. Martin is excited, as the package contains an important metal that will be used to safely power up the cube. As Martin awaits his package at the post office, he notices a brief TV advertisement about South Carolina. Martin excitedly tells Jessie that he soon will be launching his blue cube, and it would hopefully be bringing in a lot of investors. Martin assures Jessie that if everything goes right, they will finally become financially stable. Jessie is elated to hear this, but she is even happier for her father, who has worked hard on this project during a time when his wife is no longer around. Sometime later, Martin begins to notice more TV advertisements regarding South Carolina. Martin also begins to have dreams about him going near a barn and opening it, and just when he could open it, Martin wakes up instantly. Even though he is confused by all of this, Martin can't let this distract him from finalizing his Blue Cube project. The day has arrived when Martin and his team are finally going to power up the cube. Even though the entire team is a bit terrified, considering what happened 5 years ago, Martin is confident in himself and his cube. Everything turns out well in the end, as the cube is able to produce clean blue energy that can power almost anything. Martin can't wait to gather investors from the energy industry and show them his new product. Martin hopes to get a hefty investment that would allow him to build even more cubes in large sizes that could power up entire cities. More than this, Martin advocates for a clean energy system that would prevent global warming and any other drastic climate change. Just when he thought that he had worked all of this out, no investor is interested in investing in Martin's cube. Despite giving a remarkable presentation about his cube, most of the owners of big energy companies see the cube as a threat that could put them out of their own business, eventually becoming the reason why the investors decide to never allow the cube to enter the market. Martin is heartbroken, but he can't do anything about it either, as producing cubes in large sizes needs a ton of money. Jessie comforts her father during this tough period and assures him that everything will work out in the end for him. Martin wants to take his mind off things for some time, so he proposes that he and Jessie should head out on a trip to South Carolina. As much as she wants to be there for her father, Jessie shows no enthusiasm when it comes to going to South Carolina. Martin, once again, has another dream regarding the barn. After giving it one last try and getting an investor, Martin decides to end his cube project for good. Martin sells some gold jewelry and plans on using the money to travel to South Carolina. He tells Jessie that she will be coming alongside him. Regardless of her not wanting to go, Jessie has to follow her father's instructions. When they finally reach Carolina, Jessie and Martin look for a rental house that is good enough for them. After that, both of them head out for a lunch. Nearby them is a group of boys, and one of them is an extremely handsome guy named Zach. He is immediately attracted to Jessie, and he doesn't waste any time in going toward her and introducing himself. Jessie shows just as much interest in Zach, and both of them quickly connect with one another. Even though he thinks that Zach might be flirting with Jessie, Martin has no problem letting Jessie hang around with Zach later on, as Zach is quite respectful toward Martin. Both Jessie and Zach spend quality time at the golf club later on, and both of them begin to have feelings for each other. Although Martin has felt good ever since coming to South Carolina, he still can't stop having the same dream about the barn. The next day, Martin heads to an antique shop to find something good to buy. The shop owner, Mary, finds Martin to be extremely attractive, and she begins to have a nice conversation with him. Martin, too, begins to feel nice around Mary, despite only being in the shop for a few minutes. Martin feels that he should be spending more time with Mary, as he hasn't dated anyone ever since his beloved wife passed away. Martin invites Mary for lunch. Mary, who is also single at the time, happily agrees to Martin's invitation. When both of them meet for lunch, Martin and Mary bond well with each other. Martin explains to her how he has been getting visions of coming to South Carolina, which is why he came right away with his daughter. He still has to find an answer to why he is here. When asked about her past life, Mary tells Martin that she was married to a man named Billy for 10 years, but they ended up getting a divorce. Mary has since been running her shop and is happier than before. When being told that Zach is hanging around with Jesse, Mary lets Martin know that she knows Zach and assures Martin that he doesn't have to worry about Zach, as he has always been a well-behaved man. When she returns to her shop, Billy pays her a visit and furiously inquires about the man she was with. Even though she is afraid of Billy, Mary stands up for herself and tells Billy that he never owned her. Billy hits Mary hard in the face and makes it clear before leaving that he will always own her. Jesse soon finds out that Martin went on a date with Mary. Jesse is absolutely fine with Martin dating Mary, as she thinks Martin needed someone in his life after the passing of her mother. Meanwhile, Jesse and Zach get close to the point where they make out for the very first time. Martin introduces Jesse to Mary, and Jesse is happy to see her father in this position after a very long time. Mary tells Jesse all about Zach and how he has always helped Mary whenever she needed him. A few days later, Martin is traveling to another place. As he is driving his car, Martin begins to feel as if he has been in that specific location before. He takes a turn into the woods and decides to look around more. The location begins to get clearer in Martin's mind as he realizes that this is the place he has been seeing in his dreams as of late. All of a sudden, Martin finds the same barn he kept seeing in his dreams, but never got to the point of finding out what's inside it. When Martin opens the barn door, a man named Charlie comes out ecstatically and tells Martin that he has been expecting him for some time now. Martin is confused as to how Charlie knows his name. Charlie wants Martin to meet someone, and out of the blue, an alien appears and introduces himself to Martin. Martin is stunned to see an alien that can talk just like humans. Charlie has named the alien Bob and taught him English. Ever since coming to Earth, Bob has found beer to be quite good, and he has been drinking it every day. Upon asking what he is doing on Earth, Bob explains that he was near the stratosphere of Earth as part of a mission, and his spaceship was hit by a high beam of energy. Bob came crashing down near Charlie's barn, and his spaceship and teleportation circle have been destroyed. Bob says he can't fix his teleportation circle, as it would use a lot of energy to fix it. Martin suddenly figures everything out, as he remembers that it was the energy from his cube that hit Bob's spaceship all those years ago. For all this time, Bob has been using his telepathic powers to show Martin the dreams he has been seeing about South Carolina, as Bob is aware that the cube destroyed its spaceship, and only the same energy can now send him back home. Charlie lets Martin know that Bob is missing his family back home, and he needs Martin's help to get back there. Even though he isn't sure about everything, Martin promises to help Bob. Before Martin can begin working on fixing Bob's teleportation circle, he and Mary get closer to each other. Mary reveals that Billy used to be violent with her, and he still is sometimes. Martin promises Mary that no one will hurt her from this day forward. Martin introduces Jesse to Bob, who is fascinated to see an entity like him. Instead of being scared of Bob, Jesse wants to be around him and get to know him more. Jesse invites Zach, and both of them join the task of fixing Bob's teleportation circle. After working on Bob's teleportation circle for so long, Martin goes to meet Mary and gets angry when he notices a bruise on Mary's face. After being told that Billy did it, Martin decides to take care of this himself, despite Mary's resistance. Martin acquires Bob's help, and they scare Billy out of the city. Mary, who doesn't know that Martin used an alien to scare Billy, is relieved to know that Billy is no longer in town. Martin decides to introduce Mary to Bob, but unlike Jesse, she gets petrified to see an alien. After witnessing Bob's friendly behavior, Mary finds Bob to be quite good. The day has finally arrived when Martin has fixed the teleportation circle and will be powering it up with the help of the cube, but before he can do so, Billy arrives with several armed men and demands Martin give up Mary. Martin asks Jesse to hide Mary so that he and the rest of the boys can take care of Billy. When they confront Billy and his men, Billy claims that there's no such alien, and Martin tricked him using a man in an alien costume. Bob doesn't want to waste any more time, so he uses his special powers to put Billy and the rest of his men to sleep. The cube is able to power up the teleportation circle. Bob bids farewell to the entire team and thanks Martin for his efforts. Bob is able to go back home successfully. After some time, Martin gets married to Mary. Jesse is happy together with Zach. The entire family has never been this happy. Bob continues to visit his friends from this planet, and he picks up Martin and Mary after their wedding to take them on a tour of outer space.